Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you are, and welcome to NerdTube. We're talking Picard Season 2, Episode 6, 2 of 1. Okay, I'm here with my usual cohort, Cousin Cheeto. How you doing?
Doing good. How about yourself?
All right, even though this was a very short episode, by the way, and I did genuinely feel that we were going to be playing in real time at one particular point, but no, that wasn't the case. I did watch this episode twice, and I realized it wasn't real time at all. But this episode did feel like a setup for what's going to be happening next week as well, with one of these mind melding episodes, which we've seen so many times. Um, but nevertheless, in this episode, we got the second half of this heist, and this heist really wasn't really a heist. I mean, it had that heist feel about it, with them all dressing up and going into an event and having to put on, like basically using fake IDs and stuff like that to get in there. But the reality of it really was just so Picard could have a pep talk with his ancestor. But we did get other things in this particular episode as well. We got the full takeover of the Borg Queen on Agnus, who's now going to be running around town, possibly assimilating people in this particular century, which is going to be interesting for a start. Obviously, Picard now is in a coma as well. We'll see how that goes. And obviously, we have Adam Sung and his shenanigans and the mystery of his daughter, which kind of started making sense to me a little bit as I was watching this episode too. Had that Jurassic World Part 2 sort of vibe about it. You haven't seen it, have you? Have you seen it finally?
Yeah, I think I did. The second one in the mansion and all that.
Well, the one where the granddaughter realizes that she's actually
Yeah,
the daughter clone
yeah, I've
of her.
seen that
You
one.
know what I mean? Yeah. So that sort of vibe and stuff like that. So there's a whole bunch of things coming at us during the latter half of this particular episode. And I do have a theory regarding Laris, by the way, as well. Something I pulled up from Jesse Gender, who mentioned this theory, and I think it's pretty much spot on when it comes to paradoxes and time travel and stuff like that. So we get the with the crew trying to get into this particular function, and eventually the Borg Queen makes Agnes a little bit powerful. She's able to break the handcuffs, a bit like Kingpin in season 2 of Daredevil, and she then uploads the ID, and all our gang get in there, and then they're obviously surveying the scene, and then Picard basically talks to I keep forgetting her real name, or sorry, the name of her character in this particular time period, but the woman who looks like Laris, and
It's like Dallin or something like that. I can't remember.
the Watcher basically,
Yeah, the Watcher.
and basically tells her, you know, maybe you should like interact a little bit more with the people you're watching and understand them a little bit more. And then she tells Picard, I can't really do that. That's not what I'm supposed to do. And obviously, Picard wants to try to get through to Agnes. So Agnes fulfills what Picard believes is her destiny to be an astronaut and not to back out. And this kind of got me thinking. And then obviously, watching Jesse Gender's review of this, it got me thinking that maybe we're in a paradox here where because Laris met Picard in the past, the Laris from Romulan Laris, that is, after her interactions with Picard in the past and after fulfilling her duties as a watcher on Rene Picard, she became a watcher to Jean-Luc Picard, living in his vineyards, pretending to be a Romulan, and taking his advice, which he gave her in the past, about maybe interacting with the people you're supposed to be watching. So Laris is this person, but she just made herself look like a Romulan. Do you see where I'm coming from?
Yeah, no, I agree because definitely Laris in the future looks older. They made her look older than Laris at the beginning of the season. Or Laris at the beginning of the season looks older than Laris right now. So I feel like they aged her up a little bit at the beginning of the season to give the impression that she was much older than she is in, when they go back in time, which obviously she would be if she's like stuck around.
Yeah. Okay, we have Mage of Rage here. Let me introduce him. Mage O Rage, how you doing, mate?
Doing great. So sorry to be late, guys. Thanks for having me.
No biggie.
No problem. I noticed a nice cabinet of goodies behind you. Is that memorabilia I see?
Yes, sir. Got most of my SNES collection. Couple other things. Lunch boxes. The box of my Shinron. Got a little Doctor Who 11th Doctor thing going right there. Fez.
Fantastic. Fantastic. So we were just basically talking about this episode. We just started going on about it, and I had a theory, and I'm not sure if you agree with this, that this lady who looks like Laris is Laris. Basically, with Picard going back in time and telling the Watcher, Laris the Watcher, that maybe he should interact more with the people you're watching. This same Watcher in Picard's time is Laris now watching over Picard and interacting with him because she took the advice Picard gave to her, in the past. If you see where I'm coming from.
I do. I think that's a very sound theory. I mean, they went out of their way to make the actress appear younger in the past. That suggests to me some sort of continuity with the character.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just said that like a couple minutes ago.
Oh.
So yeah, great minds think alike.
Fantastic. Okay, so I'm hoping maybe that will be the case, but obviously she's not interacting with Renee Picard. But maybe she will during the course of this season. We'll see how that pans out. We do get a pep talk from John Luke to Renee. Actually, before all of that, I just want to say, what did you guys think of that singing by Agnus when she just comes in? Like, I mean, nobody knows that this is supposed to fucking happen. You know, she just walks. She walks in. Some spotlight lands on it. I mean, they've done an EMP, but somehow a spotlight lands on her, and then the people in the band start thinking to themselves, "Oh, maybe we should just play music to go along with her singing." And all of a sudden, she's like performing.
I have an
Go on.
explanation.
Okay, go on.
It's Borg nanoprobes. Everything is Borg nanoprobes.
I'm just saying regarding the band and all of that. But anyway,
he just shot nanoprobes at them and they all started playing. So,
what did you think of that scene? Because I rolled my eyes up personally, especially with the music. It sounded very Justin Bieberish. Major Ray, what do you think of that scene?
A little camp, but Star Trek's always been a little camp, and maybe not as solidly landed right now as time's passed.
Yeah, was that actually that the actress singing that song?
I think so. It sounded like her.
Okay.
I mean, but they've been able to start dubbing things so well. Like, I mean, we may not know, just like the editing technology. Just, I mean, you can even change pitches and tones to make them sound a little bit more like Agnus, and it could have been somebody else. But like, I think it was her. It sounded like her. I didn't like check online to see if it was her actually, but.
Well, I want to stick with Agnus just for a little bit now because obviously I feel this episode was named after Agnus and the Borg Queen, 2 of 1. I mean, that definitely referencing them, isn't it? Mm-hmm. And the Borg Queen is playing mind games with Agnus for sure. Giving her a little bit here and there, but really she's taking it all away from Agnus. And she did some really weird things. Now, I'm not sure if you guys remember, but in season 1 of Picard, Rios and Agnus, they got it on. You know what I mean? They were jumping bones with each other. So when Rios was being like a friendly colleague, so to speak, and checking up on Agnus to make sure that she was okay, as far as the Borg Queen was concerned, well, we know that you two have banged. So we're going to see where this goes. And she forces him in for a kiss and stuff like that. But obviously, Rios's mind is now on the hot doctor. So he's got no desires for Agnus anymore. But that was a funny scene. Don't you think so, Cheetah?
Yeah, I thought it was a bit humorous. That seemed more like a thing that the Borg Queen would do, would try to manipulate. I could tell like that entire time though, she was trying to manipulate Agnus so that she needed something from Agnus. And then when at the end of the episode, when she's talking about the pheromones or the endorphins or whatever, and I'm like, oh yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Like she was trying to like pump those endorphins into her so that she could And I mean, I didn't know it was endorphins, but I knew the Queen wasn't just doing this to make Agnus a better person. Like, she wanted something.
Yeah, it's a bit like having the devil inside you, so to speak, if you believe in that sort of shit. Major Rage, what do you think of those scenes? Is he frozen?
I think he might be frozen.
He's frozen because no way could he hold his mouth open for that long.
Either that or he's in shock. The music just took his breath away, and his bandwidth.
Just like grabbing Rios like that by his tie and bringing him in for the kiss. It's like, yeah, you want some more of this? Look, I've got the whole cleavage package going and everything.
Dude, she had the whole cleavage package going on.
All the women today were on gorgeous mode, in my opinion. Agnus looked stunning in her red dress. Seven looked great in her dress. Raffi looked fantastic as well. Laris looked great too. You know, they were all our women were really getting it on today. You know what I mean? So props to them for looking absolutely gorgeous and being able to strut their stuff. Also go on to Picard now, I guess. He had an interaction with Adam Sung.
That he did.
Now Brent Spiner is the guy who's probably plays the most amount of characters in Star Trek. Is that correct?
Pretty much. I mean, B4, Lore, Data, Adam Sung. Oh God, the other Sung. And...
one from Enterprise. Was that the same as that's not the same Sung as the one from TNG, is it?
No. Mm-mm.
Okay, so he's played 4 versions of Sung then. You know what I mean? But he played his son in last season. He played So there's 4 versions of Sung. He's played 3 versions of an android. He even got possessed in one episode. Do you remember? Or TNG. He got possessed. Him and a few, and so he played another character in that particular aspect.
Oh yeah, Brent Spiner. I love him. I mean, as I said, I'm always glad to see Brent Spiner like not as Data. And I mean, we'll get into this later when we talk about the casting.
Well, a fistful of Datas. My God, how many characters did he play there?
Right.
So yeah, he played the most, but this is probably the most vindictive version of Sung. Yeah, I mean, the one in Enterprise was I fucking vaguely remember. He was, he came across as somebody who was very hard to get around, so to speak. But this particular song seemed a little bit vindictive. Previous songs were more like physicists, well, not physicists, but they were more into the physics aspects of creation. They were building robots, so to speak, androids. But this guy's a geneticist,
and the Soviet Enterprise was also a geneticist. So,
fair enough.
But I mean, you're right. I mean, the earlier versions were geneticists rather than androidists. I don't know what to call them, like
robotic engineers.
Yeah, I guess.
Juicy, stop it! I can hear it chewing away. By the way, so his interaction at the party with Picard was fantastic.
I did. I liked it a lot.
And you see Picard's face. I was like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah, right.
Like Jesus Christ, all your songs look alike. Like, isn't it possible for maybe one of your songs not to look like you fucking look like Data, for fuck's sake?
Yeah,
Soji's
the only one that doesn't look like Data. I mean, the male gene in that family is very strong.
No doubt. But this song, obviously, he's very emotional. This version, and he has a chat with Picard. Obviously, he's been influenced by Q, and that's playing its part as well. And it seems, and at first I wasn't really 100% sure, but now I'm more sure than ever. It seems that Q is demanding Sung to sabotage historical events. He's getting him to do it, and this time around, it's really weird because before you always felt there was a lesson to be learned. I don't know what lesson there's to be learned if Q is trying to fuck things up on purpose, if you know what I mean. Obviously, it feels like Q has his own issues because his powers are fading on him to a degree. Juicy, can you just stop making that noise? Uh, Sorry. And yeah, and so because of all of this, I'm wondering what Q's game in all of this is, because he's also bringing back Picard. There she is. Uh, he's also bringing back Picard in time to challenge him in regarding changing the timeline. It's really, really bizarre. But nevertheless, when we had after his pep talk with Renee, which was a good pep talk, but it kind of reminded me of what I like about Picard recently. Like, he's really got these little like pearls of wisdom. He can really give out good advice, like that grandfatherly figure, if you know what I mean. And he did that to Renee. But when Sung tried to sabotage things, he wasn't trying to hit Picard. He was trying to hit Jean-Luc Picard, that is. He was definitely trying to hit Renee Picard. Would you agree?
Yeah.
Because he pushed Renee out of the way.
Yeah.
So he took the blunt of that car hit. But he is an android now, Picard. So what the fuck?
That's kind of the thing that kind of takes away from it. Is that's why I don't really like the way they left Picard at the end of season 1, is because I get it, he's an android, like I get what they're going for. I just, unless they were going to recast him, I don't, and you shouldn't, I don't feel like that they handled it right. You know what I mean? Like, you put him in an android's body, yada yada. It's just kind of, I don't know. It just didn't play well. It still doesn't play well with me. Picard is dead. Like, literally, Picard is dead. Now we have a synthetic copy. That's it cheapens everything, in my opinion. I get it.
No, Picard's body's dead. His conscience is in this copy. Like,
yeah, I still call that. The essence of Picard is dead. You have this copy with his consciousness. If you can
that's his essence, no?
a consciousness, what is a consciousness other than just factors and personality traits and a holographic doctor? Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know. The last season, like the end of last season, the way they left Picard just kind of rubbed me the wrong way.
Going back to that episode I told you about of TNG, where that spirit embodied Data, remember? And when regarding the sort of characters Brent Spiner has played on TNG, it's the same thing. Like, somehow they're able to transfer, in science fiction terms, they're able to transfer his mind into that body, and so it still theoretically is Picard. He just happens to be really, really old still, but never. But regardless, he takes a whack, and this is the funny thing, because like, you get hit by a car, wherever the cars hit you, you're fucked. But in this particular case, he seems to be okay. I thought he got hit on. I mean, the guy's really old, but nevertheless, Rios calls in the hot doctor to help him out. Really good that she's willing to do that and all of that. But we do have a moment where we find out that Picard is now lost in the memories of his mother in his mind, and he's in a coma. And all of this was set up in this particular episode for us to get to this position. And I do feel that next week is going to be a filler episode. I can already see it happening with him having to escape the voids of his mind.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No,
and Laris is going to come in there.
I agree. I feel like this is going to be definitely one of those episodes where it's interflexion, and Laris goes into his mind, and they work together to work him through his trauma, just because that's how real life works. We have people go into our consciousness and help us work through our issues. I know this is just as bad. Like, in my opinion, those episodes are just as bad as the Insane Asylum episodes from like Moon Knight. We were talking about yesterday about Moon Knight. And if you don't watch our Moon Knight reviews, that's fine. Basically, it's when they telegraph these bottle episodes where it's like we're going inside your mind to figure something out, and then we're going to fix you on the inside. And I never liked those episodes. They did it on Harley Quinn. It made me mad too. And I love Harley Quinn. Don't get me wrong, the animated Harley Quinn show. But they did one of those episodes once, and I thought it was, I just hated it. So I don't know. I'm not
I've
looking
seen
forward
this
to next
done.
week, but we'll see what
I've
happens.
seen this done so many times. Batman Forever kind of did it a little bit. You know what I mean? There was if you ever watch Red Dwarf, the episode where he has to make the Dove antivirus because he's got the four Crichton that is, and they go in and like the Red Dwarf crew go into Crichton's mind to save him, and they use it because he's an android. They use a video game to go inside his mind. The final episode of season 1 of Titans, they had the similar thing as well, where pretty much the whole episode was in this alternative mind thing. I hate these episodes. I really do, because Laris is going to go in there. She's going to have to figure some sort of riddle out. They look like to be some sort of spirity monster sort of thing as well in Picard's vision. So that's going to be the antagonist for Picard to deal with while he's in there. He's going to have to probably rescue his mum in his mind.
Yeah, yeah.
And resolve some issue. Oh my god, I can see it. This is very unoriginal, and this is the padding they're now doing in order to justify a 10-story fucking arc, because this is definitely going to be filler. But that's how it is for sure. And eventually he's going to learn a lesson and make peace with himself and his mum and be able to wake up, and then they can go back to work, So yeah,
they do on this show. They did things very creative in the beginning. Remember the part where Girardi was trying to infiltrate the Queen's whatever CPU whatever. Like they did that very well, because they didn't like show. We were sitting there like, oh god, all this is going to be is we're going to see Girardi and like this Borg landscape, and she's gonna have to find blah blah blah. But it's just like they didn't do that. They actually did it well, where it's like we were on the outside, and we saw what was going on the outside. But the only reason why they didn't do that is because they knew we were getting this episode later on, and they didn't want to overdo it. And that's what kind of
made
me mad.
I agree. I totally agree. So we have now Girardi though running around as the Borg Queen. Do you think Rios is going to hold himself back from starting a relationship with a doctor? Because that's some fine woman right there, and she's very smart too. So it's going to be very hard for Rios to hold himself back, and he seems to be a little bit in love with 2024 as well, regarding stuff not being replicated, like the cigar.
This can go one of two ways, and everybody knows how this is going to go. He will by the end of the season, he will either want to stay, and nobody can convince him otherwise. He's going to stay, and then it'll be and they're going to find out that it is a permanent part of the time loop, because they're going to look something up and they're going to see, wait a minute, Rios is, lives out a whole life here in the past, so this is a part of the time loop. Or he's going to make the sacrifice play, and he's going to kiss her once. They're going to have a passionate kiss, and then they're going to go back in time, or back forward in time to fix everything. But, I can see it going either one of those ways.
So, just jumping onto one of the major reveals or semi-reveals of this episode, Adam Sung and his daughter, like after he comes back from trying to kill Renee and failing, I mean, he would have left a dent in his car, which would eventually if the authorities do their homework, would mean, things would get back to him as well. I mean, you would have thought at that particular time there'll be cameras everywhere and all of that shit. But okay.
It is in the future. 2024 is the future.
It is the future, and we have more. I don't know how it is in the States. I mean, especially a city like Los Angeles, you would think that there'll be CCTV fucking everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
But all right. Fair enough, because there's CCTV fucking everywhere in London. You know, so that's why that game Watch Dogs is made in London, because it was ideal for it. You know, so okay, but he gets back. He seems like he's had a bit to drink or whatever, and then he starts spilling his guts out a little bit. Now he tells Laurie, is it Laurie or
Corey.
Corey? Corey.
Cora. I don't remember. It was on one of the videos.
That everything he's done for her. You know what I mean? And she's the reason why he does everything is because she's why. And then he fucks off to sleep or something, and then she goes into his lab and starts looking at some of, excuse the pun, data. And she looks at some of his previous recordings and stuff and sees clips and images of them when they were kids, you know, when she was a kid. But she has no recollection of any of these incidences, like, you know, celebrating her birthday with her dad or anything. So I've come to the conclusion that some of these pictures, like maybe like those times, I think was his original daughter, and she died as a young girl, and then since then he's been trying to, you know, like been using his skills as a scientist, because we did see like newspaper articles of him being, you know, dismissed and being seen as a disgrace and doing inhumane activities and stuff like that, you know, mad scientist and all of that. And if you start to put things together quite easily, you kind of realize that maybe his daughter died. This is just my theory. His daughter died of maybe a medical condition or something along those lines, and he's been, you know, using whatever DNA he has of her. He's been trying to make a new version of his daughter. You know, Jurassic World Part 2 types of vibes here. And because cloning, it's funny how you mentioned cloning of the cat in the previous episode, you know, because cloning is not necessarily a like a simple science, you know, that making, you know, people like some of the previous clones have failed, and this particular version, Corey, has been the longest lasting clone.
It's also the last one that he mentions.
Yeah,
I think he's out of. I think when he made her, he was out of DNA, like genetic material, whatever you want to call it.
Maybe. I mean, then again, all you need to do is take a snip of her hair and or whatever, but of this particular. But regardless, this particular clone is the longest lasting, which is why she's a young woman, in my opinion. But she still obviously suffers from a condition which means that she can't go outside. But Corey then kind of discovers that she's probably not really who she thinks she is, and she has no memory of her youth or anything along those lines.
That's why I think that there may be more. I don't think she's as old as we think she is. I think that a lot of her youth has been grown in a test tube, and then maybe she came out like as a teen or something like that, or because I really feel like you know, this Soong is obviously invested in cloning, so every Soong has some kind of like obsession that they have. Like, you know, this one is cloning. The next line of Soongs is obsessed with the what do they call
cyborgs and androids
no.
and shit.
No, the enhancement.
Oh, the one from Enterprise.
Yeah, augments from
Okay.
Han and all them. So the next Soong is really involved in that, and then you get into the Soongs that do cybernetics. So it's just like an evolutionary process with the Soongs. You got clones, augments, and then cybernetics. It's like, oh, these Soongs just can't catch a break. They're always on something.
Yeah, I agree. But this particular Soong, you know, he's obviously trying to clone. He's definitely trying to clone his daughter, and he's all alone as well. And it's funny because where is the heir going to be coming from? You know, like there's no indication that he's got a son or anything along those lines. How does the next son come from this guy or this girl, even if that's the case?
There's got to be something, or maybe he has a brother that carries the name along, but then I don't think he ever said he was an only child yet. So
I know, but it feels like this is the lineage. You know what I mean?
yeah, I know. He has a twin brother. We're gonna find out.
Yeah, like, that'll be interesting.
No,
But yeah, so I'm not feeling that either, to tell you the truth.
I know.
But okay,
I'm like, no, I said that as a joke.
fair
But
enough.
it would probably it would be a not a McGo. It would be a way to write themselves out of a corner, like you were saying, like they're kind of written themselves in a corner with these characters.
So it seems to me that we've got a few things to deal with. And by the way, Rafi's still having visions of Elrond as well. She saw him
Was that once or twice this episode I saw.
just the
I know it
one,
was
just
released
the
once.
just the once. So we have a Borg Queen now let loose on the city of Los Angeles. We have Picard going to be having mind games in his coma. We have Sun, who is being basically what I feel cloning his daughter, you know, and possibly Rios having a relationship with that doctor too. You know, he's definitely trying. So 7 and 9 does feel a little bit like a fifth wheel in this season, to tell you the truth. There's not
I
much
know. I
she's
kind of
offering.
feel that way too. I was very sad when I came to that realization. I'm like, oh.
I mean, the only thing about her that is kind of interesting is the fact that she's got no Borg implants in her. You know, and it's
Yeah.
funny in a way because I look at 7 of 9 as a Swiss Army knife for fucking Starfleet officers. Oh, they need a doctor, 7 of 9. Need an engineer, 7 of 9. Need a pilot, 7 of 9. Anyone you need, you got 7 of 9. She can fucking do it all. So I was kind of surprised they needed, even though she's not got the Borg implants in her, she's still pretty much that same person with the same sort of knowledge and know-how inside her. So I'm surprised that she wasn't capable of doing any of the medical work required in order to help Picard. But fair enough, you know, she can't do everything, you know, but then she'll be too OP.
Yeah,
So
right.
fair enough. Yeah, exactly. So that was pretty much the episode. I'm not sure how I like the fact that this episode began with the ending of the episode. I can't stand those sort of things sometimes.
Yeah, when they
Like this is
overlap it like that, it's a filler because this episode was short already.
Yeah, it was less than 40 minutes, less than
Yes,
40, less
with
less than 40
credits
minutes.
and intro and everything.
Yeah, exactly. So less than 40 minutes, and when I already saw what was gonna be, what I considered to be the ending, I thinking to myself, great. So you're gonna show us the ending at the beginning. So you're gonna pretty much lead us to this particular cliffhanger, which we already know at the beginning of the fucking episode. So, you know what I mean? And obviously Picard's going to get through this. You know, it's not like I'm biting my nails thinking to myself, oh, how's Picard going to get out of this? He'll get out of this. He might get a bit scathed. He might learn a lesson. He might lose something in the process, but he will get out of this.
You might
There
need
is
an oil
no
change.
doubt. Yeah, for sure. But that was episode 6. So we're pretty much getting to the home stretch now. You know, next week is episode 7, 8, 9, 10. 4 more episodes to go. You know, we're already
Next one's probably going to be a throwaway episode. I can already call it.
next one is definitely a filler. Yeah, I agree. Mainly in Picard's mind, but I do think we'll get subplots as well. I do think we'll be following Agnes Jurati around Los Angeles, seeing what she's going to be up to. You know, while she's wearing that dress, she's going to get a lot of unwanted attention, in my opinion. So, well, as far as Agnes is concerned, unwanted attention. As far as the Borg Queen is concerned, wanted attention. You know what I mean? Do you think we're going to get any assimilations?
In some shape or form, yes. I think we are building up to the end of technically we are building up to the beginning of the season where the Borg Queen turns out to be Girardi, and then we're going to get the revelation that I don't know, something's going to happen. Not everything is going to, it's going to be some kind of time loop, and who knows? We got no John Delancey in this entire episode, right? I don't think I remember seeing him once.
No, we only got him in a flashback. Sorry, we only got him in in flashback. In like we heard in Sung's mind, that he has to pay back a debt. Like he wants. And then
But
people
other
are
than
thinking
that, we had absolutely no John Delancey this episode.
Yeah, which is interesting. as well. But it's still hard to understand what leads to this sense of fascism for the future as well.
I don't know. I don't know why. This is what I thought during this episode. If we're going to talk overall about the episode, I feel like this season is definitely building up to be a hybrid Star Trek for the Voyage Home and Star Trek First Contact hybrid, like where they're trying to make sure humanity stays on track and completes this certain event that keeps the future from going, changing, as well as, we're interacting with all of these past events and past people and stuff like that, and kind of having that little quirkiness there. But at the same, I feel, I don't know, I just hope that this series is not, because the past 5 episodes to me have been really great. At least I think all of them have been really great for me. At least I know you guys had an issue with 1 or 2 of them, but the season so far has been great. This is the first episode that I'm like, really, and even a lot of this episode wasn't bad. It was just.
I've been fine with this season, and just I feel like I would like to see a little bit more John Delancey as Q in it, But fair enough. It is how it is. And so, yeah, we are set up for next week's mind mending episode. So we'll see how that pans out. But we've got some news here regarding season 3. So look at that.
Yep. They've made some cast announcements about, and I mean, this has been all over the internet. So, I mean, obviously we're probably not the first ones to report this, but we're going to give our thoughts on it because, well, if you're watching, you might like us.
Where the hell is Will Wheaton?
Yeah, we get to that one. What about Barkley?
What about Broccoli? I mean, oh god, Dwight Schultz, who was Howling Mad Murdoch in the A-Team, is a legend.
We didn't give our rating for this episode. Just
I'll give it a 6 out of 10.
I agree. 6 out of 10 it is.
Okay, so Patrick Stewart, obviously, LeVar Burton, Michael Dorn, who's DS9 theoretically, but all right, fair enough. Jonathan Frakes, actually, he's both.
Yeah,
Jonathan Frakes. It'll be interesting to see Jonathan Frakes. I hope he's going to probably have to go on the treadmill a little bit because
he was
really
in season 1, if you remember. I mean,
yeah, I know, but
and he directed this episode that we watched.
Gates McFadden. I mean, she looks so great. It's unbelievable. She must be in her 70s. I mean, she looks amazing. I mean, it's absolutely amazing. Marina Sirtis, on the other hand, she looks great too. I'll be nice by saying that. And Brent Spiner, but how's he going to be coming back? So apparently, yeah.
I was going to say, apparently it's reported that he is coming back as Data. And that's where I'm like,
God.
Yeah, and that's where I was like, no, God, please, no. No, I'm pulling like a not Colin Farrell. What's his name? Colin Farrell, right? The guy on The Office. God, no, please, God, please.
Steve Carell.
Steve Carell, that's it. Like I know if that report is right, maybe they just reported it as Data because that's what he's best known for with the series. But at the same time, I don't think we need another Soon. Like, I don't think we need another. Like, I get it that Soon is in it, but
so how do you bring him back then? I mean, like,
yeah, I don't want Lore. That's the only thing. But then at the same time, it's like
B4
or Lore, because Lore was never. I don't think Lore was ever.
Yeah, but B4 was alive at the end of what's it? I forget, Nemesis.
Well, no, B4 would be. You saw him in Picard season 1. He was in a drawer, like a big stasis drawer or something.
Yeah. Oh yes.
So he was in pieces. So he was alive, but at the same time, okay, you have this timeless character in Data. What are you going to do? You're going to make him do the Q thing where he's like, oh, I made myself look aged up so I can make my friends more comfortable. And it's like, that worked for Q because he snaps his fingers in there. That works.
In all honesty, in the movies, especially, you can see the bags under his eyes and shit like that. He looked like an old man, and like they weren't using de-aging technology. And when they did try to use the de-aging technology in season 1, it looked fucking awful.
I would almost rather them CGI him. I mean, like, as a younger looking data just with the voice, and I would almost rather that. I know that it's probably a
No,
bad idea, but
just look. You've got the song from season 1. Bring him back as that guy.
I don't
You
want
know what I
that
mean?
guy back either. I thought he was kind of a doof.
A filler.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
was a filler. He was like, well, we need someone that people can relate to as a soon type character. I no. Mm-mm. I don't. I like Brent Spiner. Don't get me wrong, but
Well, look. Four of these characters were in season 1. Patrick Stewart, Jonathan Frakes, Marina Sirtis, and Brent Spiner. So we're only bringing back really theoretically 3 people.
yeah.
LeVar Burton, Michael Dorn, and Gates McFadden. Yeah, Juicy. Can you stop making that noise? All right. And
Go ahead.
so, but really, what's going to happen? Are they going to do a Star Trek 3 and hijack the Enterprise and go one more?
You know what? That would be a terrible idea, but I would watch it. Like, and I would be interested to see how that went. But it would definitely be a terrible idea. I acknowledge that. But I would almost love to see.
I would like a setup for Michael Dorn's Captain Worf sort of scenario.
I
Like,
want
there
a
should be a
Captain.
set.
I want a Captain LaForge show. I want a Captain LaForge show. Commander Kim and Captain LaForge, because Kim, isn't Garrett Wang? I think is his name.
Yeah.
Garrett Wang. He does not look that much older. You could pass him off as a younger character, like a commander, like Riker's age, like when he first when he was first on TNG, or at least mid TNG. And LeVar Burton looks great as well. Like, yeah, he definitely would. He's definitely aged, but you don't have to use de-aging technology on either of these people, in my opinion, to do a show with them and make one the captain and one the commander, and make it take place in like Picard timeline, like maybe a little bit before Picard timeline, but I don't know. I feel
Would
like,
you throw in? Would you throw in maybe a Miles O'Brien in there
oh yeah,
as
absolutely.
as an engineer? Yeah.
Well, I would hope that if they do a Starfleet Academy show, that they would put Miles O'Brien in there as a I don't know, a dean or a teacher or something like that.
Yeah.
Just because like, I mean, that's where he, at the end of DS9, that's where he was leaving to go, and that's why I really hope that Starfleet Academy show takes place in Picard era, not in Disco in 32nd century era. I don't want it. I mean, I'd like it, some of it there, but I really want it during the Picard era. I want to see what Starfleet looks like during the Picard era.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, you call Picard era, I like to call TNG era.
Well,
You know,
this is almost 30 years past that.
yeah, I still think of like that. It's still the same generation. Yeah, I mean, more than next generation.
Okay.
But yeah, okay. If fair enough. What do you think the story is going to be about?
I don't know. It seems like, I mean, they're kind of getting the crew back there. It's almost going to be like grown-ups in space, I feel like.
Well, they're basically trying to do with the TNG crew what they did with the original crew. A bunch of fucking over the hill Starfleet officers going on one last hurrah again and again and again. Uh, and I that's how I feel it's going to be.
I kind of felt like
It
they
is
screwed the
interesting.
pooch. I kind of felt like they screwed the pooch, because this right here would have been the perfect opportunity to bring Q in and then have him snap his fingers, and then all these people are back on the bridge of the Enterprise. Like that would make more sense. I don't mind the Q storyline that we're getting right now, except for the fact that he's like diseased, or he's losing his powers, or whatever you want to call it. But like, you have all of these people next season. It's like Q could have just brought all these people together and said, like,
Yeah.
I've given you a problem. Now try to figure it out.
I just look at all of these characters, maybe apart from maybe Marina Sirtis's character. I look at all of them as becoming all of them as captains, apart from Brent Spiner as well. If he doesn't come back as Data, so LeVar Burton would be a captain. Michael Dorn's a captain. Jonathan from Frakes already knows a captain, and we've seen Gates McFadden as a captain in one of these sort of parallel universe episodes or alternative timeline episodes, where she was a captain of a medical frigate. You know what I mean? So, yes, like
By the way, medical frigate Star Wars. So just
yes, I know, but a medical ship, yeah. But so
I don't know what the story would be though. Like, I mean, what besides Q and the Borg? Like, what else from
what, the crystal entity?
No, the Romulan general that looked like that was the daughter of Tasha Yar. What is her name?
Oh, that. Yeah, I know what you're on about, but what about
No, like bring her back. Have it involve some kind of story plot with her, because then you also technically have the actress for Tasha Yar coming back, and she's also involved in the story. But I think that would be a great like surprise where it's like they're dealing with the Romulans. We don't know what's going besides what we saw in Picard season 1. We don't know what's going on with the Romulans post supernova. So it's like it would kind of be fun to see like either she's I think it's is it Selena? I don't remember. It starts with an S, I think. But I feel like it would be like incredibly odd. Like maybe she's trying to become the new Romulan Empress and trying to bring the Romulan Star Empire back through with a heavy hand, and like they kind of come together to kind of stop her because Starfleet feels like it's not their place to stop them. So they all kind of get together and they know her because it's Tasha Yar's daughter. And they kind of feel personally in yesterday's Enterprise. So they feel personally responsible about what's going on, and maybe they all come together to kind of put an end to it. I
mean, I do feel that I think, considering you've got 7 or so, you've got 10 episodes next season as well.
Probably, we can assume that.
Then instead of having all the crew back together in one episode, have them all back. Have them like like have a couple of guys here in one episode, a couple of guys in another, like passing the baton, and then have like the big Avengers assemble a moment in maybe episode 9 or 10 or both.
Well, and that was going to be my next point was what about the other characters? Like, what about 7 of 9? What about Raffi? What about Girardi? What about Rios? Like, what?
I would like, I really want them to throw everything out there. I would like to see Admiral Janeway.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, it'd be fun to see Admiral Janeway, but we're getting her in Prodigy, so that's why it's like I think they're kind of backing off on that. Like, but I could see like an Avengers moment, but that's got to be a movie. Like if you're bringing Cisco back and Janeway back and Picard back and all these other characters, like
no, I'm not saying Cisco back. I really personally, I don't want Cisco to come back. I genuinely don't, unless they do a rescue thing. But I think that is kind of like, I think that ship has sailed. So forget Cisco. You know what I mean? But I wouldn't mind maybe a Chief O'Brien back.
Oh yeah,
because he's got a connection with the Enterprise. I wouldn't mind, like, obviously, I really, really wouldn't mind Janeway coming back as Admiral Janeway.
I wouldn't mind a cameo from her. Like if she's like let's say there's an episode where they go to Starfleet Academy to talk to somebody, and like Admiral Janeway's there, and like Wesley. They gotta have Will Wheaton. Look how much he's doing for Star Trek right now. He's doing the Ready Room. He's doing all of these other things.
Yeah,
why not have him in a fucking cameo?
There's some really, like, I always feel like there's a hate, or like a trolling hate for Will Wheaton, and the Shut Up Will and all this sort of stuff. And it might be funny for its moments, but don't ostracize him, because it goes against the spirit of Star Trek.
Yeah,
in my opinion, so
no, he was annoying in the early days of TNG, but still, I mean, he played the character he was given.
He's a kid.
And he grew. It's like Nog. Like Nog in DS9 was such an annoying character in the beginning, and by the end, he's my favorite DS9 character, hands down. Well, Dax is my favorite, but Nog is like my favorite, like not main character, I guess you call him.
I would like to see Quark come back, as well. I'd like to see some of these DS9 characters come back to that in some capacity. And then, like, in a way, like, all these characters, like, not necessarily. I mean, I would at some point like to see them all on screen together at some particular point, but I think it'd be better if they all doing different things and they somehow come together. You know what I mean? Like, they're like, some of them are loners, some of them are captains, some of them are working on Earth, and somehow they are able to get together for one big, last hurrah. so to speak, and maybe we see the USS Zhang Wei, what the fuck is Zhangxi, or fucking what the fuck is called? Jonathan Frakes' ship in last season.
Oh, I don't even remember what it's called.
I keep thinking Shang-Chi, but that's not it. You know what I mean? But the point is, like, then he comes in and stuff like that, and and you know what I'm saying, like,
Yeah.
but and even though you do talk about movies, personally, TV is where Star Trek's at. Yes, they've had many films, over a dozen films, but TV is where it's at, and
I know, but
TV,
to get that spectacle though, with all of that, like, you need a movie, in my opinion.
we're not talking about fucking Hollywood A-listers here. A lot of these guys haven't done shit after Star Trek.
Yeah, but
You know what
I'm
I mean?
telling you, if you bring all these cast members back, TNG, DS9, Voyager, like, you will have a fucking movie. You will have people showing up in droves. I guarantee it. As long as you get the Russo brothers on it, hire the Russo brothers, put them in the charge of this. Fuck J.J. Abrams, and let's do this.
I just feel like it ends up being more expensive with the bells and whistles than it does with the actors.
Well, and that's what I'm saying, though, because I feel like the Russo brothers know how to do, like, they know how to make it character centric. Yeah, it looks good, but, like, look at Endgame, look at Infinity War. They balanced so many characters in those movies, and and it's like they did such a good job. Like, bring the Russo brothers in and do this big Star Trek come together.
I just feel like you're doing more justice with a show because.
See, I don't. I feel like you're losing the spectacle.
No, because it still is a spectacle, but you're giving all these guys a chance to breathe with 10 episodes, and then we the last couple of episodes being the finale is a movie level event anyway.
Well, but maybe they need to do shows leading up to this movie, because look at the MCU is one big long season of the MCU.
Yeah,
with the Endgame.
The television shows came after the movies,
No. I'm talking about like the MCU though itself is like 23 movies led up to Endgame. And
yeah, unfortunately, as popular as Star Trek is, it's weird in a way. It's amazing how like every Star Trek fan, in my opinion, is a Marvel fan, but not every Marvel fan is a Star Trek fan. It's like every Star Trek fan is a Star Wars fan, but not every Star Wars fan is a Star Trek fan. You see where I'm coming from?
Yeah, a little bit, I guess. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I guess I am a Star Wars fan in some.
I'm a massive, humongous Star Wars fan, and I'm a massive, humongous Star Trek fan. I love them both. We know that the lore. You're giving yourself not much credit. You might say that you have more of a taste for one over the other, but I think because Star Wars has been very disappointing recently. You know what I mean? The sequel films are a fucking pile of shit, and the prequels have only become popular through nostalgia, in my opinion. But at least they got originality going behind them, and the only saving grace recently has been the Mandalorian, not even Boba Fett. So
I know.
Exactly. Well, Star Trek, more often than not, is doing okay for itself. So, anyways, all right. So, yeah, that's season 3 done. I think it's going to be interesting to see where they go with that. Yeah, showing our analytics to the world.
Yeah, sorry. And I was trying to figure out what I was doing.
No problem. But yeah, so anyway,
our analytics.
Let's not worry too much about season 3. We've still got season 2 to deal with. We've still got several episodes more to come from this particular season, and we've got a few story arcs needing to be solved. We have a Borg Queen on the loose on Los Angeles. We have a possible clone storyline regarding Sun and his daughter, and we have Picard in a fucking coma, and we still have the timeline to be resolved as well. So yeah, more to come from Picard season 2, episode 6. But out there in this world, let us know what you think of this episode. Is it any good? leave a comment below and let us know. Anything more to say, Cousin Chio?
Don't forget, tonight I will be uploading my Young Justice season 4 episode 17 review. I'm gonna actually, once we get off here, I'm gonna watch it, take my notes, and record it, and then it'll probably be out sometime tonight. I want to give this video a little time to breathe.
Okay, and tomorrow we're going to be talking about WrestleMania, baby. You know what I mean?
WrestleMania,
brother. See how we are at NerdTube? You name it, we fucking do it. And so yeah, WrestleMania was last week,
Scarlett
two-night
Johansson.
affair. Yeah.
You name
That
it,
too.
I do it. Scarlett Johansson.
Okay, and as I said earlier, WrestleMania was a two-night affair. That was over the last weekend. We also had Monday Night Raw as well as Friday Night SmackDown. I'm not sure if we'll be able to talk about Friday Night SmackDown, but we'll do our best because that might be happening a little bit later than scheduled. But regardless, we're going to be talking about this week in wrestling. So please join us for that. There's a lot to fucking talk about, a lot to unpack. If you did watch WrestleMania last week, it was actually better. I mean, myself and Cheeto here, we are formal wrestle heads, but we do make the effort, even though we're not longer wrestling fans anymore. We sometimes make the effort for the odd wrestling show, like a Royal Rumble, like a WrestleMania. And I have to admit, as a former wrestling fan, I actually enjoyed this year's WrestleMania. It was a lot better, than I expected. The card was shit, but the wrestling was good. And in all honesty, if you have a shit card, then at least you make your wrestling good, and they panned out on that. So well done for doing that. But Vince McMahon never get into a fucking wrestling ring ever again. And seeing Stone Cold Steve Austin wrestle again after almost 20 years was fucking amazing. It really was. It was fucking amazing, man. The guy can still do it. I mean, he still got it. All right. And talking about people who still got it, we have got it as well. We have got to go. So thank you very much for joining us on this particular stream. Don't forget to join us tomorrow for the WrestleMania broadcast. And may the force be with you, my friends. Bye-bye.